allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one member online, so we have to roll call vote. One member online.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting, April 8th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Questions or discussions? Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
Make a motion we approve the minutes as written. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
When we get to these down here,
Yeah.
if she wants to vote, then we'll.
All right. New business. First, was it 2025-03.2, review of the high school's secondary development plan.
So, last month we signed findings of fact that if they came together with a sewer capacity letter, potable water plan, stormwater approval, and then a concerted effort to replat all parcels, and they received a use variance, then they could return for a secondary plan. The school has followed through with all those items. They are in the process of replat or of bringing together those parcels. You should have it in the packet ahead of here, the Leo-Cedarville plan. They currently have an alternate plan they're proposing as far as well goes for water, while they're working out some other issues along the way here with Pioneer. We are confident that they will probably move to Pioneer, and at that time, once they get that letter, it'll go in their file. So they really have everything on the list as far as that goes. So we're looking for, and this isn't a finding of fact, it's just a review of the documents that they have submitted and a motion to approve or deny the secondary plan. I know that you, Blaine, specifically requested documents in relation to the elevations. The school has provided those for us. Actually, looks very nice in my opinion for a school, a functional facility. So I think it's a good addition as far as that goes. It has enough structural, architectural intrigue in it that I think it'll be really good for the community.
Very good. Thank you, Tyler. With that, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2025-03-2, review the secondary development plan for high school review for the required finding of fact.
I'll second that.
That will do a roll call vote. Angela?
Yes. Yes.
Greg?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Blaine?
Aye.
Randy? And I'm an aye as well. Motion passes.
All right, before you tonight is, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. PC 2025-04, review alley vacate Moores Welding.
With that, we'll open a public meeting or public hearing. If we have anybody in the public who wants to come forward.
So this, I can't remember exactly when. The county called me probably in January and brought this to our attention that a number of years ago, a partial alley vacate was completed. And it looked like in the paperwork that the county sent me that there was an error in some of the lot numbers that got sent down with the ordinance. So they said, hey, look, you need to get this cleaned up. And that time I talked to Pat, said, hey, we get into the spring, get my feet underneath me, then we'll reapproach that. With that being said, in the meantime, Pat came to me with a need, and part of that need requires us to do an alley vacate for the other sections. So tonight you should have the application, and then in a secondary packet you should have a finding of fact for the alley vacate. this is step one. Step two is an ordinance that will need to be introduced at the next council meeting. So if you guys approve the finding of facts, ordinance will be drafted and given to the council to vote at that time on approving the ordinance, which would happen next week, next Tuesday. And they own all the parcels that are connected to the alleys, so that makes that portion pretty simple.
One question I forgot to ask when we talked about that was, what was the alley for originally?
So the alley was originally intended for rear access to properties. So within the, when they made them in the town, the whole thought process was, you put a house on a parcel, it's too narrow to get to the front edge of it. So to get to the back, they put alleys in. This is an unimproved alleyway, it's just a grass alleyway, they've been maintaining it for years. We have many of these around the town, some are vacated, some are not. I think the last one we done was in maybe 23 or early 24. So if homeowners have a desire to take that over, and when it really becomes tricky, like these guys, it's easy, right? They own all those parcels around it. When it becomes tricky is when you have up to 8 different owners trying to vacate, to get all them to sign and agree to vacate the alley and take over their portion. So the intent was just to access the back of the property lines.
So the houses that are there are probably used it at some point?
I doubt it. A lot of these are not used. I only know of maybe 2 and 3 in all the towns, maybe used 4 possibly. I guess you got one next to you. We got one behind the ice cream, one behind the Paul Shop Grace's Goodies, and then there's one that one connects to going on farther down to Beulah.
The one behind the restaurant too used to be utilized.
Yes, but I think part of that's been vacated now.
That's all vacated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If those houses were to be sold at some point?
There are no houses. There's 2 vacant lots, and then there are 2 of the vacant lots that are gaining access, and then one is their business, and
There's
one rental property, yeah. And the rental property already has a fence built halfway over the alley with a shed sitting in the alley. So,
And it's open on that side,
Yeah.
south side of it.
And you own that too?
yep.
Yes.
He owns, Mateo Leasing / Moores Welding owns all 8 of those parcels.
Is there any utilities in these?
There are, and that would be, as part of the finding of facts, that states that any utilities would have to be granted their easements or moved, at that point. But we don't regulate as far as utilities go, so those easements would exist. So if they would ever want to develop farther than that, would be something they'd have to work out with the utility provider to clear their easement. In fact, the one behind the current pole barn, there's an internet sub-provider there right now, built right on the property line, not quite into the alley, but really close.
And you got ATP.
That'd be baseline communications.
Yeah, baseline communications. Let me see if I can pull up my map here real quick.
Looks like it goes really close to the building next there. And I mean, it's right alongside of it, isn't it?
What's that, the alley?
In the alley.
Well, I mean, it's part of the parcel now, like, it's included in the parcel, and there is an actual, 2-track on that side of on the west side of the barn right there as well. And we actually brought that power in to bring 3-phase into the main building. I don't know, 2008, I believe it was. That wasn't even existing until then.
Sorry, here.
So of the alley, since the town was incorporated, how many of these alleys have been?
I know of probably 1, 2, probably 4 in Cedarville that have been vacated. And Greg could probably be a better answer to that. I don't know how many more.
There's been a lot.
See, theoretically, in 2008, I believe, 7 or 8, when we did our expansion down in the main building, we were under the assumption that all the alleyways were vacated at that time. And Tyler discovered it was brought to his attention that that was not the case. So, I mean, theoretically, it's been done since 08, you know what I mean? But
It's very
we're just
common.
trying to make it legal.
Yeah.
It's very commonplace.
Yeah, and this is very, so there's an alley here that's technically in the still exists, an alley here, it still exists. This is 2 parcels, this is 2 parcels. Obviously, this is 2 parcels, and then this is basically 1.5 parcels here. So they're looking to vacate this alley and this alley here, and this alley here has already been vacated. So, and like I said, when you actually read the ordinance, it looks like it was, when it came to me from Nick Jordan's office, it looked like it was merely a typing error, but I can't go back and prove anything, right?
I think it was a total clerical issue.
Yeah, the way it read just did not make
And
sense.
we even cut a row of trees out of the center of the alleyway back then.
Yeah.
Like it was.
I will guarantee you this won't be the last one we do.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I had another one last year, but they only wanted to do a partial alley vacate, and our attorneys said probably shouldn't do a partial alley.
I'm not concerned about this in this case, but just so that I understand this, can the town turn any alley into a road?
We can probably improve an alley. I don't know that we can turn it into a road.
I just want
So a road requires a certain amount, like it's like 15 feet. You gotta have so many feet plus another 15 feet easement. And these are all like 15-foot wide alleys. It's literally a single drive lane through.
Yeah.
So we could probably improve an alley. Let's say a business wants to do something and we wanted to give them a rear access. Then yes, we could probably go in as part of the conditions of the plan and say, yeah, that alley can be improved. At that point, if they really wanted to do that, I would probably vacate the alley, give it to them, because then it becomes our maintenance headache. And I can tell you, I have a couple in town that I'm dealing with right now that are not necessarily the easiest to work with. You have to put down anti-dust, you have to do like all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I would recommend at that point to vacate the alley if it's that big of a deal to them. Just vacate the alley and you improve it to how you want. Yeah, just sign in, Tom.
Yeah.
You gotta sign in to speak.
Yep.
Stand up here.
You gotta be official.
Yeah.
Okay, put my glasses on, I can't see anything.
T.
And just stay there so we can hear you on the microphone.
Oh, jeez.
It's all part of the,
Speech.
yeah.
Do you still want the question?
Do I have to put on topic?
Nope, you're fine. Just sign in for us.
Okay, I might not understand this. To get it rezoned, does that mean if they wanted to build a factory or, my concern is in my backyard, I don't want a factory or a business, I guess.
Right.
Houses are fine. I don't have no problem with the vacating, but to get it rezoned is.
So it won't be, on the agenda tonight at the next meeting is a variance request.
Oh,
So this meeting is the alley vacate and then the replat. They are requesting a variance request to expand their current accessory use building, once they get it replatted, to the south a little ways, and to use it as truck parking. So essentially, what you have there is what you're gonna see there going forward. That
Yeah,
makes
we're
sense.
not, there's no intention to build in that green grass lot. That's gonna just stay the way it is.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so they would have to.
So basically, we're gonna duplicate this model right here,
Oh,
and that's it.
okay.
That's all. And essentially, I have a machine shop in this building right now, and I just need somewhere to put our trucks and things inside because we're using the space for manufacturing now.
I see.
This will all stay open. There is aspirations of grandeur, I think, for Mr. Plummer someday. I think he might want to put a building there, but I don't know that we'll ever do that.
Where's your house, Tom? Where's your
Tom
house?
lives over here,
Yeah, yeah.
like over there.
A block or so in. Yeah, so the intent isn't to go like a wholesale factory.
No.
And for them, so after the variance of use will allow them to expand this, but if they want to do anything in this section here, they have to come back in and do it over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my only concern.
Yeah, and Tom, anytime you ever want to stop and ask questions, you're welcome to
Oh,
stop
yeah,
by
I
the
know.
shop, too. For sure.
You might put a welding on one.
Yeah.
I used to.
Put you to
to make a motion if we're done.
We gotta close the public.
Is there any other
That's right.
comments or discussion from the public? With that, we'll close the public hearing part of it. Mr. Pack?
Is there any more discussion? With none being heard, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt PC 2025-04 to review the alley vacate for Moores Welding.
I'll second that.
We'll do a roll call vote. Angela?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Greg?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Blaine?
Yes.
Randy? And I'm aye as well. Motion passes.
And can we also add, thanks for being part of our community
Absolutely,
and
thanks.
supporting the whole area with your business. It's been there forever, very respectable part of the community, and thank you and your
It
family.
means a lot, honestly.
He reaches out over the whole area.
Yeah, I know.
We used to use him at the Coliseum.
Oh, yeah. just- Even when
Okay.
we moved into town.
Yep.
Since
Appreciate it.
1943.
All right, we're going to move on to item 3, PC 2025-05, review of replat Moores Welding. That will open the public hearing portion of this.
So, the alley vacate was the first step. The second step is they cannot build over, I don't know if you guys can see this here, but it's a property line right here. So the plan is, once the council approves the alley vacate finally, they will be able to send this document in to replat these 2 lots and then pick up an extra 10 feet off of these back 2 lots. So that way that they have plenty of room to develop their shop and meet all setbacks and requirements. So that is essentially it in a nutshell. So
Anything from the public? Any comment? Any discussion, questions up here? With that, I'll look for a motion.
Please a second.
Whoops, correction. Let me close the public hearing section.
So,
Then I'll look for
so what we're doing right now, this is the variance?
no, this is the combining of the 2 lots.
Oh,
The replat.
The replat. So because it's in a platted area, it has to be
Yeah,
replatted.
I
You
got
can't do it
I was-
elsewhere.
I was-
So you're only gonna replat 2, you're not gonna replat the whole thing.
Yes, so 2 of them gets replatted with a 10-foot, well, it's actually
Yeah.
15-foot, because you take the alley plus 10
Okay.
feet of the rear 2 lots.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks for the
So it's
clarification.
essentially a 20-foot add-on to the rear of the property.
We just cleaned it up where we added like an actual drive back on that backside. Because it does access those power lines and like he said, we housed the local internet provider in that building behind the main barn there is where they have their substation at in there, so. That's kind of why we needed that extra space.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm looking for a
I
motion.
make a motion, we approve PC 2025-05 on the replat.
Second thing.
Second that. Okay, we'll do another roll call vote. Angela?
Yes. Yes.
Greg?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Blaine?
Aye.
Andy? I'm an aye as well. Motion passes.
Yep.
Number 4, BZA 2025-04, looks like variance of use, Moores Welding and expansion.
So in front of the BZA tonight is a variance of use for Moores Welding. The current property is zoned R4. They are operating and for many years operating a business out of those 3 parcels. And so we are asking the BZA to consider tonight the granting of a variance of use, so that way the property is officially granted the correct usage. They wouldn't be adding on, they wouldn't have to, they're standard non-conforming, but since they are expanding that building and gonna house commercial vehicles in it, then they need to request this from BZA. So this is just a recommendation to send on to them for their consideration.
So what was it?
R4, so that whole area is zoned R4. When the town incorporated in 95, they zoned it R4.
Okay,
Moores Welding has been there since
43.
Yeah, 43. So, the lot, or the property was, the buildings were standard non-conforming until they add on. They have added on, they want to add on to this building, so therefore, they gotta be compliant, become compliant with our zoning laws. The only way for them to effectively do that is to grant a variance, or we have to rezone the property. And our comprehensive plan does not allow for spot zoning, but it does allow for the granting of a variance of use.
so we're gonna take it to commercial?
No, it'll stay R4 with a variance of use to be used as a light commercial property.
And that's just that one building, not the other one?
Correct. That old one is standard non-conforming. It'll stay that way until they update it with me in office. And at that point, which they can't go with that, to be honest. It's stuck. I mean, the only thing they do now is tear down the house and try to expand it.
Okay, so it's just this,
Just that building. The old one can stay and operate as long as it operates.
It's
And
like
they,
grandfather.
yeah, it's grandfathered in. It's called standard non-conforming in the zoning law. It stays that way forever until they want to add on to it, and then at that point, you have to get a variance.
Yeah, it was in operation before zoning was even in effect.
Yeah.
Last time we added to that building, I was under the impression we were done, like our variances were,
Yeah.
we were done.
So the only way to do that would be essentially the same thing, right? Where you tear down the house and combine the lots and have to go through the whole process again.
That's not gonna happen in my lifetime.
Our variance is in perpetuity.
As long as it stays in operation for its current use. So let's say that 25 years down the road, he sells the whole operation, right? The next business cannot come in and operate underneath that variance. It is specific to that use, that business. As long as it stays operating as Moores Welding, you're good.
Or if another welding company came in.
No, it has to be under Moores Welding. So they would have to buy out Moores Welding and stay in operation as
Carry
Moores
the
Welding.
name.
Yeah. It all has to stay the same. As soon as they change the operation, it's over.
Which I got grandsons, so
Yeah.
that could happen, you know.
Right. I mean, they can stay in operation forever, essentially, right?
Good, so that'd be cool.
And again, this isn't, you guys aren't deciding on the variance, you're just granting the permission, basically telling the BZA that it's a good variance to send on.
we just need a consensus.
I need a motion and a vote.
I'll look for a motion.
Make a motion, we move the VZA 2025-04 variance of use for Moores Welding onto the VZA.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. That will do a roll call vote. Angela?
Yes. Yes.
Gregory?
Aye.
Jerry?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Looks like old business, open discussion, intermediate school update.
So I need to give you guys an update. Over the last few weeks, we had a series of questions coming in over about the intermediate school, the planning process, and all that stuff. Through that investigation and working with our attorneys to make sure that I'm fully compliant and understanding the laws and regulations, it has come to light that the intermediate school is not required to come through planning commission because that property received a variance of use into the ag and is still based ag. The attorneys agree with that. That thought process, the attorneys have, they've looked over it very well, and now the flip side of that is they still have to go through a review process. So that would be an administrative review on my behalf. It's called an ILP process. The ILP process still requires all the same documents. It requires everything. What it does not require is the public hearing portion. So with that being said, we can request, as a planning commissioner, I request to get a team of you guys to help me review the documents to make sure that we are in compliance. I do have a meeting with the school and the neighborhood tomorrow to address concerns specific to the intermediate and its effect on Matea in particular there. The school has indicated they're willing to work with those residents to make sure that all of their concerns are met and they come to a consensus on how to move forward. My guess is that not everybody's going to win in the process. The only thing it does is just takes the vote out from up here to proceed forward. So I would ask that we receive, I'd like to have at least 3 of you guys, to be honest. I can't have 4 because it becomes a quorum and then it's a meeting. But I would like to have 3 of you guys to help me review all the documents as they come in. This part of this will be whatever comes out of these next set of meetings with the residents, that the school is held to that standard and that those get pushed forward and will be part of both the plan documents, and then when they are ready to close out the project, it'll be part of my inspection of the school property to make sure that they've adhered to all those rules and requests that they've agreed to. At this point, I don't see a large concern. They're going to do what they say they're going to do. But another set of eyes on it is always good in my opinion. So that's the long story of it. The short story of it is I'd like to have 3 of you guys join me in the review process of those documents.
I would like to be a part of that, but I can't do it tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow's just the first meeting with the school,
All right.
so I haven't even received their ILP yet. So it would be once we get through that ILP process. So up until that point, I'll just call you guys as documents start to come in. Once I get a finalized set of documents, I'll send them to you guys for review. And then as the required submittals, which is from from Allen County Highway, from Allen County Surveyor's Office, all the sign-offs for the engineering firms, hydrology studies, all that stuff that comes across our table, Leo-Cedarville sewer district sign-off, water sign-off. As those documents come in, I would have you guys review them to make sure that the documents are legit. Essentially what we're doing now, just in a non-public forum capacity. So. Randy? Jim, you want to?
Yes.
Put me on.
And Jerry. All right. And it's not that I can't, as we get that stuff, it's not that I can't forward it on to the rest of you guys. You just won't have the sign-off portion of it, right? So that's all I have.
Anything else from the board? That we are adjourned.
Got you out of here.
Appreciate you.